Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is Haikyuu, episode 21 of season 4. Last time we got introduced to Shinsuke, and now we're getting into the final set. Correct? Final set?
Yeah.
Last set? We'll see what happens. Leave a like and subscribe. Check out Patreon to get a week ahead on this show and many others. Let's go.
Shit.
これが砂林太郎の速攻だ。阪神のブレなさ。見て分かってても、実際目の前で体感したら違うんだろうな。全国怖。スパイクが打たれる瞬間ってのは、スパイカー対ブロッカーの1対1じゃん。ブロックが2枚になったって、1対2じゃ必ず戦いようはある。言われるまでもないっすかね。
ここにのっとって止めに行きます。僕がいきなり全国トップのミドルブロッカーに勝てるわけもないですよ。でも
Nice.
Smart.
1対6。
If it's 1-on-6, yeah, I could do horrible things to him. I was about to say something really fucking weird. I was about to say, like, yeah, but if it's 1-on-6, we could all 6 of us take him in the back alley and
Why did I ever say that?
because it's fucking stupid.
止めることに躍起になったらどう都合にはまる。分かってても多分俺はできなくてたまに手出しちゃうし、何本かは止めれると。でもツッキーは多分 1,2 セットかけて後ろに伝えてんだ。これが砂林太郎のターン打ちですよ。では点を取られて当然の競技。失点をなくすなんて不可能。どんな攻撃も完全攻略なんてね。
Imagine if you did. Imagine if your serves were so next level that you just got 25 points in a row.
こいつ意図的にずっとクロスだけ塞いできたの。毎回気持ちよく打たせてくれてありがとう。思った通り打ってくれてありがとう。こんな自己主張の薄いミドル初めて。
でもさすがに飛び道具ばかりじゃないね。分かんなくなってきましたね。木下。
木下、点取ってこい。
I really hope he can get some in.
最後のチャンス。ナイスだ。
Last chance in the game.
I love how they always do that.
28本目。木下さんには聞こえてない手の音も味方の音も感覚は全部ボールと白帯と狙う場所に注がれている。
Shit.
You saw it all happen,
Sucks.
brother.
That sucks.
Oh shit, I almost knocked over all my GPO.
違う人種らしいと思ってでも自力でヒーローになったり田中いざって時借り出されてきっちり仕事した縁の成田西野谷や影山みたいになれなくてもどっかで何か劇的な活躍ができるん
This is I hate to cut into this guy's like inner monologue and shit.
なれるんじゃないかって勘違いしてたんだな。すいません。木下さんナイスサーブです。いいとこ狙えてたぞ。おいドーン。お前がここぞってところでかっこよく決めるチャンスははい。
Yeah.
でも3年生は今日で終わりかもしれないのになのに俺は何もやってない。
One thing I want to say, I didn't want to cut into his monologue, so I didn't. But I don't like they're setting up future character arcs in the middle of this seemingly climactic battle. Yeah, this is supposed to be a final victory where we move past these guys and go forward if we win. But not if we keep talking about, oh, well, next, or setting up character arcs where, like, he fucked up in his one moment, so he's gonna make up for it next year or some shit.
Oh.
They got it. We're up. Okay, now just trade.
We've been up.
Just trade and trade and trade.
Nice.
Fuck.
Gotta get as much of a lead as you can right now. Before that.
Know your backstory.
あんま覚えてねえけど、小学校上がるくらいの虫が怖い、鳥が怖い、三輪車が怖い、お化けが怖い、人見知りだった気もするし。
前世とかの話？
うちのじいちゃんがリアル獅子の子とし野郎の体克服しました。
GG.
強烈なじいちゃんな。
Exactly what I would have imagined him to look like.
試合中に饒舌な西野よ。珍しいちわかるか。
宮敦夢のサーブの時、足が床に張り付いて、なんか懐かしい気がした。怖いって思うことが、怖いってはっきり言えることがすげえな。愛が懐かしいってなんだろう。さあ、凡人にはわかる。でも、じいちゃんが一旦下がるのはもったいねえって。
But Noya's gonna get it this time.
You're goddamn right he is. Just a whole bell pepper.
やっぱり嫌いだって確認すること。上から行くな。目をじっと見るな。敵には理由があること。
This is my favorite episode of the whole show.
それでも怖かったらどうするの？
Big toothy grin. Come on, big man. Come on, biggest man on the team.
西野やさ、苦手なオーバーやんなくてもでさばけないこともないんじゃないの？俺もアンダーで全部取れるならそれでいいと切ると思ってたのに、もっと上がいる。選択肢が増えるって分かっててやんないなんて。前へ。
That's so nice. Yes. Don't even let him serve a second time.
Yasha! Yes.
Very nice.
Nishinoya once again proving he's the best character in the whole goddamn show. I love his grandpa. He's fucking cool. When he said, like, my grandpa was really crazy about discipline, I pictured a guy in, like, a yukata kneeling in, like, a dojo. And like,
yeah.
and like they're sitting very proper, and they were all about discipline. But it turns out he's like wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and he's got like some OnlyFans girl on his arm or some shit, like
just like flying around. Like, and the discipline isn't even like don't do this. It's
just
like
be
do
confident.
everything. You ride this fucking bike even though you don't want to do it. Pet this dog that's gonna bite your hand off. Just like just random stuff that other people like a typical like strict or like disciplinary parental figure would be like, don't pet that dog. You don't know
he's
how
like,
to ride
put your
that
life
bike.
at
Don't ride
risk.
that bike. Yeah, he's like, if you're not gonna die, don't bother.
Now we're following Ojiro-san. Oh, the twins when they're young. By the way, also real quick, Noya's hair was always like that. I thought that he dyed like the front or gave himself highlights or something. No, he just has a blonde patch just in the front of his hair.
Maybe his grandpa made him ride the bike a different time and he fell off and smacked his head. So then his hair started to grow in white.
It's a real thing, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. That'd be funny.
休むは変やろ。
こんにちは、犬畑です。ミヤ兄弟。その名前が有名になってくるより前、俺はス
パイカー見たかったな。失礼な双子やな。一番来るかよ。アホやな。クールなポジションなんやで。じゃあサムセッターがええの？いや、スパイカー。なんで言うたんや。
おー、ナイスキーや、すごいな。
なんや、むっちゃうまく打てたの。
ビビらんで入っといて。おっちゃんが打たしたる。おー、ナイスキーや。打たしたる。
セッターかっこええな。
That's pretty nice.
あ、お、アラン君や。チーズ。あ、だご。
Middle school.
うまいよりか強い感じで、闘志が人一倍を押す。どちらかといえば、オサムの方が一枚上手で、オサムに挑むアツムがよくある構図。
オサム、セッターやってみ。
セッターは一番うまいやつがやるポジションやし。オサムもアツムも負けず嫌いやったけど、アツムの方は負けず嫌いで収まらない何かがあるような気が。
セッターに集む。
お、何やで。黙ってくだされ、クソアツムは見るたびセットの腕を上げてて、オサムとのコンビは絶品で、ミヤ兄弟は恐れられるようになってった。
今日めっちゃ調子良かったよ。ボールが手に収まる感じ、離れる感じ。感触でブロックもよく見えた。俺のセットに不満は
別に。
じゃあなんで決められないの？
Jesus.
何やねんあいつ。
More like, oh, Samu.
調子乗ってんねんて。あいつら調子やと勝てるしな。
Or I guess it's Atsumu. Never mind.
ズム、嫌われとるで。で
So, you're the setter, you fucking idiot.
優しく生きるんや。
何言うてんねん。
ちっこい頃から知っとる双子やったけど、ズムは時々怖いと思う。仲間に嫌われるってしんどいやんか。今日はあかんかったな。あ、そういう日もあるわ。
どんまい。
俺らみんな下手くせや。せやから、
このポンコツ。あのセッティングでスパイク決められんポンコツ。さとポジション開け。
Oh, really?
アツム、言い方あれやろが一番身にしみんねやから。
They have bunk beds in high school?
やれ。
People just have bunk beds.
I wouldn't want a bunk bed in high school.
体格よりいろんな能力なんやと思う。どんなに他人が追いつけへんスピードで突っ走ったってに絶対追いついてくる。それに苛立つこともあるんやろうか。
You scrub? What?
基礎だけ強くなっていく。
You scrub.
悔しがれサム。悔しいわ。あんま悔しいと思てへんことが悔しい。すぐは頑張っとるからな。何やねん。自分が頑張ってないとでも言うんちゃうやろな。頑張ってるプラスちょっとおかしいやつが呼ばれたんちゃうか。俺とお前実力は変わらん。いや俺の方がうまいよ。
I just said maybe they got confused and mistook you for me.
Yeah.
よりちょびっとだけバレーボール愛しとるからな。
Okay, come on.
Oh, nice. Well, it threw them off, so that was really good.
Oh shit! That's crazy form. It was such a
Shit.
low ball. Damn.
今の素晴らしいセットアップにどのくらいが気づいたか
Yeah.
普通なら
That's crazy.
レフトに高く上げるであろうバネ
How flexible do you have to be to like
Yeah.
hit that so accurately?
とよくあの体勢から上がるよね
That's-
ハンダでいいじゃんあればセッターはセットするんが仕事適切な位置にボールをセッティングするハンダーは腕2本オーバーは指10本よりいっぱいのもんで支えたんねセッターやもん
俺こそ宮厚のし者であったり時に勝ち気で高圧的であるスパイカーに対して誰より真摯で献身的だ
セッターの鏡だね
おや
俺には無理だ
I just would literally never do that.
素早く滑り込む反応あんな低い体勢で体を安定させる筋力そこからドンピシャでセットする技術もないか
できない理由を饒舌に語るない
True.
俺もここに来れてよかった
We went over a lot of stuff in that episode.
Yeah, that was a big episode. What do we got here? What do we got
I always forget the
early on?
guy's name.
Number 10. This dude, the dude with the spindly
No,
torso.
the guy this serving guy on our team.
Kinoshita.
Yeah, I was like, it's because
It's very similar to Inoshita.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, it's not Inoshita, but it's like almost the exact same, which is funny when you have like two side characters that don't really get much like action other than at one point to like have them named the same thing.
I mean, I would have liked if they kept his original design because they made him look too normal. Like he looked like I guess he kind of looked like before he looked like Tanaka, but with like spiky gray hair, sort of like and like skinnier. But now he just looks like a kind of normal anime guy. Like his eyes, especially like his whole facial structure. I really don't like that they changed his design. He just looks he looks even more like a background character than he did before. His face has less personality. But I like that they're setting him up to be developed more in the future because now he is the same thing that happened to Yamaguchi where he fails and then he has a reason to work harder.
It's literally almost the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But I do like that because he had been previously established to be practicing with Noya, they have like a little bit of a bond, and seeing Noya like overcome his fears and his problems is like now new inspiration for him.
Right.
I really like that, and I think the thing with him is that the same thing was happening with Yamaguchi when he was first starting. Even if he would get one over, he like, because as a pinch server you're not out on the court playing, receiving, like you're not doing any of the other things on a consistent basis other than in practice, where you're basically just helping other people do those things. That it's not, and he had like envisioned whatever 28 times the serve, but what he wasn't envisioning was it coming back and having to receive it, because it came down right beside him, and that's what Yamaguchi has really like developed at, is he has had some crazy like receives and like diving out of the thing,
and not pretty, but just like
effective, because it seems like they really like to send it back at the pinch server or in their direction, because they aren't warmed up to the same degree as everyone else. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see the same thing, and everyone, just being really supportive and stuff. It's just very nice. And then we get Yamaguchi in there again, and he does a great serve, but they still get it back. But at this point, for him, that's not gonna get him down at all, because he like knows he did a good job, and not every single time it's gonna just be point after point after point.
Mm-hmm. And we also got Noya's grandpa.
So nice. It's just
I love how he has the same like big toothy grin. That's cool. That was just great.
Very wholesome. I like this with the twins just
being so crazy
beating
troublemakers.
each other up and stuff, and just it is,
and just talking so much shit in the back. They sit at the back of the class and are just like,
just talking,
having a
during
whole
this.
conversation, and then like everybody's like, especially Alan's just like, ugh.
He's just always there. These brothers
And they like go
are
in
always
circles.
around.
They're just like, I just love how they're like kids. They're just like, oh yeah, no, setter's really cool. Setter's like the coolest thing. Oh, so you want to be a setter? No, I want to be a spiker. Oh, then what are you talking about? I don't know. It's just fun.
No, like one of them says I want to be a spiker. Then the other one says, what about the setter? The setter's really cool. Oh, well, you want to be a setter? No, I want to be a spiker. You want to be like, they're just like going around and.
They're so funny. I didn't know they dyed their hair. I guess it makes sense. Or I didn't know that both of them dyed their hair different colors. I thought maybe one of them had like the natural hair color and one of them was dyeing their hair.
Yeah, it seems
no,
like
they both dyed their hair.
They were like, oh, you ever heard of Kinkaku and Ginkaku? Let's go for that aesthetic. Yeah, that was like a nice little backstory. And that set was crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah, and I like the commentary from Coach Yukai, who's just like, I wonder how many people in the audience actually understand how crazy that set was.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, it's low. Oh, that's fine. You like limbos
Just
under
does
it.
the splits in the middle of a game. I don't know.
And gets perfect contact, nice and soft when it's like just going right, like it's perfect, and then he goes back, sets it to the exact spot it needs to be, and they get the point. It's crazy.
Really nice, and I do like as well that we're able to get side commentary from so many different people.
I like it, but it's way overused.
It is a little bit
Way
overused, but I do like that it's at least not the same people every time. Like if there's only one person there,
yes.
like we
if
kind of
kept going back to no heavy guy,
yeah.
every
We
single
go
time.
to that guy and his girlfriend for like the really basic stuff, and then we go to Kenma sometimes, and we go to the the guys from the national training camp. And like the coaches and stuff. So I at least, if they are going to do it, maybe because they don't have a budget to like, animate as crazy of stuff, so they need some talking scenes here and there, or they're just trying to like, get the right
I'm
count
noticing
of
there's
episodes.
like, I wonder if all the I don't know how much of the backstory is like in the manga or how it's being stretched out, but it seems like there's just so much more backstory. And maybe there's actually not that much, and it's just a pacing thing. But I'm noticing like
it is.
We're spending so much time every episode in like we have like 5+ minutes of backstory every episode. And then like 2 to 4 minutes of commentary from like the sidelines, if not more.
Yeah.
And it's not, they're not, a good thing that Haikyuu, I'm not trying to complain a lot, it's just, I just feel like I need to mention it because it keeps happening. A good thing that Haikyuu originally did was they layer everything so nicely, and they like, the commentary is played over things or between things and at the right moments, and it's like a piece of music. It's like it hits a crescendo, and that's when they score the point or something after, and then you get like the shot of like how Atsumu at the end is just like, I'm a setter. That's what it like, and it's like I just can't help but imagine what this would have been like with the pacing of season 3, for example, because this fight I think is supposed to be just as epic as the Shiratorizawa fight. But I'm gonna be honest, it's just not hitting as hard, and it has nothing to do with the writing quality or anything necessarily. I think that Shiratorizawa's match had a bit of a leg up because it was more sets, and because it had its own season and everything, but also because Ushiwaka was set up as such a strong threat and such a strong antagonist. He had been early on.
For the entire time of Haikyuu, he had been set up. But I think this
So they had a leg up in that way, but
I think that this one is just not hitting as hard. Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with the story or the backstories or like the themes or really anything that's going on. I think it really is the pacing of this adaptation of it, and not even anything really to do with like the animation quality. Really, that's not it. It's just like the subtle difference in like direction and like just the full package of it being executed is just not quite as tight.
I know we've been over this before. It's just I notice you notice it more and more going forward, and the more we get into like this epic, and I can tell it's super epic, but I know that there were points that were just as like complex and rallies that were just as complex.
One step.
There were things that were just as epic from a writing perspective, from drafting from the manga, that I'm sure had the same impact in season 3 versus now. The differentiating factor, again, is not the animation quality. It's just that they're being more sparing with it because it's obvious that if they tried to have the same, they literally can't stretch it thinner than what they are doing now. Because if they try to compact it and compress it and make everything as tightly wound as season 3 or season 2, it would look like absolute shit. So I'm not faulting them for doing this. This is obviously made during COVID. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't want to keep commenting on it necessarily because it's not like we're the only ones to say that. We've been talking about this since the start of the season. You guys have warned us in the comments. Everybody talks about it in relation to the season. It's just such a shame because I'm like 80% on the edge of my seat, and they're not bringing me over the edge with these points. Yeah. Because they cut to backstory when a big point happens, or they cut to more commentary when something happens, or they cut to just a second of a flashback, and then rather than it just being like a flash and you see an image of what happened, like how they would do before, they have that classic like shining noise that they play in previous seasons, and then you would see a picture of what they were thinking of, and then they'd be looking down, they'd look back up, they'd say something, and we'd move on.
I feel like I'm not on the edge of my seat the same way that I was. I mean, like, clearly, we were, like, screaming and jumping and flying around in season 3, and I'm still invested, and I still really like it, but I don't have that, like, even though the stakes are even higher at this point, because we're at nationals, and you know, if we're done for, we're really done for.
We're just a little too in everyone's head. Yeah. We're like only in people's heads, and then it feels like it also feels like from a storyboarding perspective, the way that they're planning out these episodes, it feels to me like the points themselves are like window dressing. Like it feels like the game is not the focus. Yeah, it's not like it feels like the focus is on the characters. And that was it was equal. There was like there was like a what's the term I'm looking for? Equilibrium, I guess. There's a better term, but there was a synthesis between them where it's like the characters propped up the game and the game like propped up the characters.
Every time you learn something more of the characters, the game got more intense.
Yes.
Every time the game got more intense, then you learn more about the characters. It meant more, and then it just kept piling on to be you got more and more invested every time you saw a glimpse of backstory. Every time a point was scored, it was like you're one step closer. But this one,
it feels like they're working against each other.
We're only a few points away from winning or losing this set.
Yeah. And this is the whole game.
But I haven't even really like cared about any of the points. I haven't been like, oh, I'm so glad we got that point. It's just kind of like, oh, nice. Mm.
Yeah. It's like before they were working off each other, and like you said, is learning about the characters would make the game more impactful, learning about and then following the game and like really focusing on each point and each rally and each movement of the characters. It was still, all the points were really drawn out. Like, I think we skipped one set in the Shiratorizawa game, for example, but we followed like most of the points through the whole thing. It's not like it was lightning fast pacing.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem with like the game's moving too slow. It's that like we're learning about the characters and that enhances how we feel about the characters. But then the amount of time we're spending with each character is taking away from the impact of the game. And then when we move to the game and we spend time on the game, it feels like the game is taking away time from the characters. So it's like the two core elements of the show of like the strength of the character writing and the backstories and like what the game means to everybody is at odds with what's actually going on. They're conflicting each other. Sometimes it feels like. I feel like we're being a little bit dramatic, but I also don't feel like we are. And I don't want to. Don't worry, this isn't gonna like affect how we feel about it.
No.
We want to. The reason we're talking about this is because we want to say it so that it doesn't. We're not bottling it up and it doesn't affect how we feel. So it's not that we hate this season. Obviously, it's that there's just I'm noticing more and more problems. The more that we go on, the further that we get into the season, we're focusing. Like it feels like the game is just a side story.
I feel like the game is kind of in the background because like when I look at the points, I'm like, oh, because it's like we learn about the characters and then they get a point. But then we're immediately thinking about another character and their backstory, and it kind of
if I think back to all of the big games, not even just Shiratorizawa, but if I think back to both Seijo games and others, we were like the scoreboard was like present in our minds. When I think about those games, I'm just like, okay, this point, okay, this many points behind, this many set. Like it's like every time we're already thinking about the score before they show us the scoreboard because we're thinking we saw it before and then they got a point, so we're like, oh god, that's okay. Great, so now that we're 2 ahead of this, or we got this much of a lead, we just keep getting these points. Like when Yamaguchi was going on that crazy serve spree and got like 5 points or some shit. He's like, that was such a crazy thing, and I didn't need to see the scoreboard to know how great that was. But in this, I feel I unless I see the scoreboard in this season or in this game specifically, I don't know how far ahead. Like it's easy for me to forget because we're like everything is so separated and I feel like we're cutting away from shit.
If the other team gets a point, I don't know. Have they caught up to us? Have they surpassed us? Oh no, there's still a few below us. Like
it's like the plays themselves are cool, but it's so like separated.
Isolated. It's isolated. Very isolated from the game. It's not like I'm watching the game and then like getting these little things that are making it better. It's kind of like 2 separate things that are not really helping each other out.
The isolation's a good word for it, yeah. Because if I think about like they were setting up the same like connecting threads between characters, like how we were talking about a couple episodes ago or last episode, I forget, where it's like, okay, we're like establishing their number 10, their connection to Suki, and they keep going back and forth and everything. It doesn't feel like those connections are as strong, or that like if they get turned on their head. Like I'm comparing it to Tendo. I'm comparing it to to like Mad Dog from Seijo, to like the characters are, again, it's not a writing quality thing, because I love Shinsuke. I like all the characters on the other team are fucking awesome. It's not a problem with writing. It's just a problem with presentation and just how they're choosing to layer everything, because this feeling of isolation where it's a bunch of separate stories and there's like clean cuts between everything that's going on. It's not building. It's not like adding to each other and working off each other. It feels like if I were to compare the way the show is moving to like a game of volleyball, it's like service aces back and forth, and it's just like, okay, here's this point. They hit it, maybe they hit it back, and then they score on like the second touch or something. Yeah. Whereas previously, each episode felt like a rally. It felt like a crazy back and forth, and like different things there were compromises, and like there was a swell to it. So that I'm not trying to harp on it and like focus on the negatives. I'm just trying to explain how I'm feeling about it. And so if we're focusing on it too much, I'm sorry. Focusing on the negatives too much, I'm sorry. I don't mean to overstate. Like, and make you think that I think it's terrible. I'm trying to get across how we feel. Leave a like and subscribe. We're still excited to get to the next stuff. Yeah. I want to see how this turns out. I want to see. I think there is like a big crescendo coming though. I feel like we'll get there.
I'm hoping that if these ones are dragged out, then like maybe the last 3 or something can just be like spot on.
Same. See you guys in the next one. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
Bye bye.